Tommy Turner was known in his town for one thing: he spilled everything. It didn't matter what he held in his hands. A glass of milk, a bowl of cereal, a cup of juice, even a bucket of sand, somehow it would slip, shake, or tumble right out of his grip. People joked about it kindly, saying, "If Tommy holds it, prepare to mop it." But for Tommy, it wasn't funny. He didn't like being known as the boy who spilled everything. Tommy lived in a bright yellow house at the end of Maple Street. Early every morning, his mother could be heard calling from the kitchen, "Tommy, breakfast is ready." And every morning, without fail, something ended up on the floor. One morning, his mother placed a fresh bowl of oatmeal on the table. It was warm, creamy, and topped with strawberries. Tommy liked strawberries, so he rushed to sit down. As soon as he grabbed the bowl to pull it closer, it slid from his hands and splattered across the table. "Oh, Tommy," his mother sighed gently, even though she tried hard not to sound frustrated. "What happened now?" "I don't know," Tommy whispered, cheeks burning with embarrassment. "It just fell." His mother patted his shoulder. "It's okay. Let's clean it together." Tommy nodded, but inside he wondered, why does this keep happening to me? Later that day at school, he carried his lunch tray across the cafeteria. The tray wobbled, shaking left and right like it was alive. Before he could take 3 steps, his sandwich slid off the plate and landed on the floor with a soft thud. Kids nearby turned to look. Some giggled, others shrugged. It was normal. Tommy spilled things. That was what he did. Even his teacher, Mrs. Willow, tried to help him. She always said, "Take small steps, Tommy. Hold things with both hands." But even with both hands, accidents happened. One afternoon, the class had an art project. Everyone got a cup of water for painting. Tommy held his cup very carefully. He moved slowly, breathed slowly, and focused hard. But as he sat down, his elbow brushed the cup. The water tipped over, running across the desk and soaking his friend Lucy's pain. Tommy froze. He wanted to say sorry, but his throat felt tight. Tears formed in his eyes. He hated being clumsy. He hated ruining things for others. Mrs. Willow hurried over. "It's okay, Lucy. Accidents happen." Then she crouched down beside Tommy. "Take a deep breath. It's not the end of the world." But to Tommy, it felt like it was. He went home that day feeling heavier than his backpack. He wished he were like other kids who didn't drop things, spill things, or break things. He kicked a pebble on the street and whispered to himself, "Why can't I be normal?" That evening, his father came home early. Tommy sat quietly at the table while his parents prepared dinner. When his father placed a glass of water near him, Tommy didn't dare touch it. His father noticed. "What's wrong, champ?" he asked. Tommy hesitated. "I don't want to spill anything." His father gave a soft, understanding smile. "You're worried because of today?" Tommy nodded. "I spill everything. Everyone knows it. Even I know it." His father pulled up a chair next to him. "Tommy, let me tell you something you don't know about me." Tommy looked up curiously. "When I was your age," his father said, "I spilled everything too." Tommy's eyes widened. But you don't spill anything now. You're good at everything." His father laughed. "Trust me, I was worse than you. I once knocked over an entire pot of soup at a family party. It ran across the whole table like a river." Tommy giggled. "Really? But you know what helped me?" "What?" "Practice. And confidence. When you're scared of dropping things, your hands shake." Tommy thought hard about this. "So, you think I can get better?" "I know you can," his father said firmly. "In fact, we're going to practice together." And so they did. The next morning, Tommy's father set up a little training area in the backyard. There were empty cups, plastic bowls with water, and even balloons filled with rice. "We'll start easy," his father said. "Hold this balloon with 2 hands and walk to the end of the yard." Tommy took the balloon. It felt light and squishy. He walked slowly at first. Halfway across, he stumbled, but he caught the balloon before it fell. His father clapped. "Good save." Tommy's heart lifted. Next, they practiced carrying a cup with just a little water. Tommy spilled some, but not all of it. Each time, his father said, "Try again." And each time Tommy tried again, the spill got smaller. They practiced every day after school. Sometimes Tommy grew frustrated. Sometimes he wanted to quit. But his father encouraged him with small challenges: carrying 2 cups, carrying a tray, walking a little faster. Slowly, Tommy's hands grew steadier, his steps more confident. One day, His father handed him a full cup of water. "Walk it to me," he said. Tommy took a deep breath. He walked slowly, carefully, focusing on his steps. When he reached his father, not a single drop had fallen. His father's face lit up. "Tommy, look, not a spill." Tommy stared at the full cup. "I did it, you did it." For the first time, Tommy believed he really could change. The next week, the school announced something exciting, the Maplewood School Spring Festival. Every class would set up games and stalls. Mrs. Willow said their class would run a lemonade stand. Tommy's stomach twisted. A lemonade stand meant juice, cups, pitchers, all the things he spilled the most. He hoped Mrs. Willow wouldn't ask him to help with pouring. But on the morning of the festival, she smiled warmly and said, "Tommy, would you help us pour lemonade today?" Tommy froze. "Me? Yes," she said. "I think you'll do a wonderful job." He wanted to say no. He wanted to run away. But then he remembered his father's words, "Believe you can do it." So he nodded. At the start of the festival, Tommy's hands shook a little. Kids lined up for lemonade. Lucy stood beside him, handing out cups. Tommy held the big pitcher tightly. The first pour went fine. The second pour went fine too, only a tiny drop dripped down the pitcher. Lucy whispered, "You're doing great." But then came the moment he feared. A little boy ran past their table, bumping it hard. The pitcher wobbled, and Tommy almost lost his balance. Everyone gasped. Tommy steadied the pitcher. Not a single spill. His heart pounded. He had saved it. Mrs. Willow clapped from behind. "Tommy, amazing balance." For the rest of the festival, Tommy poured lemonade like a pro. Kids from his class looked surprised but impressed. When the festival ended, Lucy patted him on the back. "You're not the boy who spills everything anymore." Tommy shook his head. "I'm still learning, but I'm not afraid anymore." And that made all the difference. Life began to change for Tommy after that day. At home, he carried dishes to the table without accidents. At school, he volunteered to help clean up materials without fear. His friends noticed the difference. He walked straighter, focused better, and smiled more often. He wasn't perfect, nobody is. Sometimes he still spilled a drop or two, but he didn't panic anymore. He simply cleaned it and tried again. One rainy afternoon, Lucy slipped in the mud and dropped her lunchbox. Food spilled everywhere. She looked embarrassed and upset. Tommy walked over, knelt beside her, and said gently, "It's okay. Everyone spills sometimes. Come on, I'll help you clean it." Lucy blinked, remembering all the times Tommy felt the same way. "Thanks, Tommy." They cleaned the mess together, laughing at how muddy they were getting. Tommy realized something important. Spilling things didn't make someone bad or clumsy, it just made them human. A few weeks later, Tommy's school held a special assembly, a celebration of teamwork, kindness, and improvement. Mrs. Willow called students on stage to receive small certificates. When Tommy's name was called, he froze. Tommy Turner, Mrs. Willow announced proudly, is receiving the Perseverance Award for never giving up and improving something he once struggled with. Tommy walked onto the stage. The whole hall clapped. He looked out at the crowd, his friends, his parents, even Lucy cheering loudly. Warmth filled his chest. Mrs. Willow handed him the certificate and whispered, "You earned this. I'm proud of you." Tommy smiled wider than he ever had. From that day on, nobody called him the boy who spilled everything. They called him the boy who never gave up. He helped others, encouraged anyone who struggled, and even taught a few kids how to carry things steadily. At home, his father continued practicing with him, not because Tommy was clumsy anymore, but because they enjoyed the time together. One evening, Tommy's mother placed a glass of orange juice in front of him and said, "Would you please carry this to your little sister?" Tommy took the glass carefully. He walked across the room and handed it to his sister without a single drop spilling. His mother clapped. "Look at you." Tommy grinned proudly. He had changed. Not by magic, not by luck, but through patience, practice, and believing he could improve. Tommy learned many things, but the most important lesson was this: everyone spills something in life. You just have to keep trying until your hands grow steady. And so, Tommy Turner, once known as the boy who spilled everything, became the boy who carried his confidence everywhere he